So I took the robe. I didn't know, what is this thing? As I go into the room and I'm looking at this robe and I don't know what to do because why am I changing to do the haircut?
Yeah.
I removed my clothes, including I call it the pants and, my trousers. Then I exit to go get my haircut with just the underwear on. There's all these beautiful ladies in the salon getting their hair done and everything. I hear everybody laughing. He looks at me and he says, "Man, you have to go and you have to put your pants on." So I took the robe. I didn't know, what is this thing? And so it was a very short robe. Usually when you have a robe, it comes down to your legs, your knees, or your down to your ankles. And so anyways, I go into the room and I'm looking at this robe and I don't know what to do because why am I changing to do the haircut?
Yeah.
Anyways, long story short is I removed my clothes, including I call it the pants and, my trousers, but you're not supposed to do that because it's just supposed to be for your shirt. So I take the trousers and I go over there and then I exit to go get my haircut with just the underwear on. And so the guy comes and he's, I start hearing all these, all these beautiful ladies in the salon getting their hair done and everything. I hear everybody laughing. They're laughing. And finally the guy, he comes and he's not really paying attention. He's kind of like snapping around and going, "Oh girl, your hair's beautiful," and everything. And he looks at me and his voice just immediately goes very deep and he says, "Man, you have to go and you have to put your pants on."
That was embarrassing.
So, even that experience of you have the guy who's just operating on the side of the road is a very different experience from the salon.
Yeah.
Even as a tech person, I mean, as tech people, we don't know these things about the massage and the appropriate, ways to interact with these places. So I can imagine gathering requirements when you have tech guys that are, it's like, hey, we need to be sure that, we understand, I could imagine particularly on a beauty product, you could expand in the future and, allow them to set up special kinds of appointments for different types of braiding or different types of massaging, but yeah, it would be very hard, I think, to explain to a tech guy, who's particularly that doesn't understand these type of things. So
that was quite an experience.
I always find myself experiencing, since I moved to East Africa as well, coming from a culturally different place, there's always kind of new experiences. Even I went to a salon here and they ask you, "Do you want your head massaged?" And okay, I guess so. I don't know. And so they start massaging the head, but they're putting so much pressure on the brain, like you get almost passing out. And then I learned that I never wanted to ask for them to do that because it was so crazy.
Okay, I have never experienced that.
There's a very strange. Each one is very different in what they do, and so you have I think culturally it's a little slightly different. I mean, it's kind of the same from the U.S., but the services are sometimes it's a little bit. The translation can be different, particularly with I have the more American English. So, sometimes because there's more the British type of English here, I think sometimes the things can be lost in the translation. I'm asking for different services. So
it can be interesting. So I think, like you said, gathering requirement was quite something else.
Yeah.
Because if I go to a barbershop in Lavington, and I go to a barbershop, for instance, in Umoja or Kayole, they need very different things and they have very different clienteles. So they harmonizing all those things into a solution is something else, and translating that into code is another thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, is your team using a lot of AI now? I mean, I guess it's not so applicable to the salon industry, but maybe to generate their code or to move faster.
So what we are trying to use AI, maybe in the product fit, would be more on the insight and the marketing aspect. So integrating the insights and giving information to business owner in terms of how they can leverage from the information their business is doing, how the business is doing, what they can leverage on in terms of marketing, in terms of team management, in terms of revenue and everything. So we're trying to put that into the product as well just to leverage on that. I'm not very keen with my developers using AI and everything because, of course, there is the efficiency that is there, but also at times it creates, I don't know, I feel like sometimes it can kill creativity, but I'm not very keen with them using it. Of course, we have policies in place in terms of organization on how far we can use this, but mostly in terms of the marketing teams, they're trying to finding insight on how the market is behaving. So that's where they use tools that are of that, and also in terms of analyzing the code effectiveness, if it's you understand how sometimes the code can be too bulky and it's not saying anything, the quality checks and stuff like that. So that kind of usage of AI, but not like using it to write code. It's I don't know. Sometimes I find like debugging AI codes can be too much of a hassle.
Well, what they say is that a lot of the AI tools it's basing itself off of other people's code, essentially. So you get kind of a non-creative type of solution. I mean, it's kind of copying what somebody else has already done. Because, and I would assume, like with the scheduling apps that you have, I mean, there's a lot of scheduling apps on the market. There's a lot of bookkeeping apps. And that's probably when you generate code, you're likely to kind of copy a little bit, not necessarily copy or copyright,
reference.
but it's generating something that's already been done, which is sort of good, but it's not. It's not that creative, like you say. So I went to an AI summit this week, and they were saying, the one thing with AI is we're trying to ensure that it creates jobs instead of takes away jobs. So, even though AI can make coding more efficient, that doesn't mean it's going to reduce a developer's job. We want to use it now to open up other jobs where, like you said, it makes doing something with the marketing. Well, somebody has to understand how to use the tools properly and how to. Maybe they can be more efficient, but that doesn't mean it's taking away a job. It's actually opening up different opportunities for people to use the technology.
I think it's more of, we're still in that space where everyone is like, but then, of course, it has its advantages. Sometimes when you're stuck, you can get a very quick insight of why your code is not working. But then in terms of getting a very efficient code that you can put in your solution, it's not there. You have to do a lot of debugging.
Well, and what's interesting is sometimes there can be a lot of pressure from investors to put AI on your name. I know even at my company, they're always coming. If we have AI, we can go raise more money because the AI is a really hot thing right now. And I always tell the team, sure, we'll do AI in places where it makes sense. Right? It has to have a purpose. You can't just say we're doing AI and we have ChatGPT. That's what most people are doing. They're just we have ChatGPT, so now we're AI company. But there's a lot of things in my industry that we do for ride hailing with machine learning and different algorithms. On your side of things, I mean, there could be some interesting things maybe with the customer service type of thing, how people interact with the scheduling system. And there's probably a lot of ideas that you could have.
Predictive analysis on how the consumer habits and stuff like that, what you should stock.
Sure.
So we the way you said, we have been using AI in terms of machine learning for the longest. It's just like right now the LLMs are a bit more popular. And people are talking about it, but all the businesses and applications, most of them have been using machine learning.
For a long time.
For a long time.
I remember studying that in school, in university a long time ago, and learned a lot about it and started utilizing it as you go forward. And so we've had that for a very long time. And now it's just, for some reason, the LLMs have, it's caused everybody to kind of go crazy to be like, let's invest and let's put a lot of money into it. So it's interesting to see what happen. It's definitely a good use case, but I think it's
I think LLMs are quite popular because they're even the non-technical people can can get solutions very quickly.
Yes.
And in a language they can understand.
Yeah.
You know, if I talk about machine learning,
it's impossible to explain to somebody.
It's so hard for me to say how it has resulted for me deciding on this and this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if you put the machine learning and then you put a language that a normal human being or someone who with no technical skill can understand, which is English or the native language, then it becomes more interesting. Like, oh my God, this thing can tell me this. But predictive analysis and machine learning have always been in use in many complex, even not complex solutions and apps.
No, it's the world is changing for sure. I think it's but I think that's definitely what made it mainstream, is whenever the average executive could say, "Oh yes, I understand. I type in what I want here, and now I get all the information that I need."
I get an entire report. You know.
Yes,
it's quite interesting though. I think we are headed in a very interesting times.
Yeah. Well, with your application that you have, I mean, there's a lot of maybe not exactly competing applications, right? You have maybe on the bookkeeping, you have things like the QuickBooks, or I don't know the market very well for what and then on scheduling, you have different calendar applications. How did you see or how do you want to position yourself compared to those other competitors? What do you think you specifically add to it? Is it specifically the idea with the salons and the different beauty management that is very unique to what they're looking for?
Yeah, it's like I think what we are bringing in mostly in terms of difference with our competitors, one is what the solution is offering in terms of the advantages of a business specifically using a solution that is geared towards their problem. It's not general. We are not general application so it's very keen towards businesses that are in the salon industry and the wellness industry. So if you look at generally other competitors, what they're doing is more of a general business management system, which as we have all understood, even in the salon industry, the business are quite different, and the requirements and the needs of different segments quite diverse. So if you work with a solution, then you're getting something that is designed specifically for you and for your sort of business. And then another thing that because we are still here and we are also Kenyan based, we are very easy to be reached and get feedback or resolve issues with the solution, modify a solution to fit a need that is specific for your business. So it's very hard for you to reach out to someone maybe someone who is hosting you, maybe in the United Kingdom, to do such a thing for you. And for us, we are specifically looking to solve solutions for the African context. So we are not a general fit for all. We have looked and assessed the problems that we have in this market, and that's what we're looking at. So the business will have an advantage that this is a solution just meant for them.
And what would you say the biggest challenge you faced when you're running this business? Has there been any kind of interesting things that it just got you where you're just like, wow, I don't know how we can survive this business?
I have to say, as a software developer, in terms of trying to navigate business and understanding how B2B works, of course, I've worked with in the business aspect, but not selling such a similar product or a solution or building such a similar solution. So it's not something that is common. It's not a very common solution that you say B2C.
Yeah.
It has a very niche market that is specific. And so trying to understand that and also trying to acquire businesses at the same time can be a challenge. But I have a very good team. So that's why I know where I have maybe something that I am not really conversant with. So I have a very good marketing team. I have a very good customer acquisition. So I try to go to the field with them and understand, okay, sales is a bit hard.
Yeah. And where do you like spending most of your time in the field? Is it with these kind of fancier salons and places, or do you go out? Are you going out to the side of the road and talking to these guys that are out there?
No, I actually don't mind any. I actually don't mind. I go to all clientele. I don't discriminate because this solution is quite going to be used by everyone. So. The fancy, they're nice and everything, and also the small ones are very nice. And it's very interesting for you to sit down and get to hear insights of what your customers have, the views they have about your product, and what they think the product is going to solve for them, or what are the additional features they feel like would be needed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You when you're out in the field, it's really good because you can see the unique perspective, particularly those guys with the small shops. They you learn a lot of things like, oh, maybe they don't have data, or their smartphone isn't so good. It's just like a small one, or in my business we deal a lot with the boda drivers, these motorcycle guys. They have a lot of challenges in day-to-day life. No chargers, no.
Another thing which is interesting is that when you go to the market, apart from that, when you need to build the product, you actually do the research and everything. But also you understand a lot of things about how the business operates. There are some businesses that operate in commissions. Others, they have a salary base.
Sure.
Others, everyone owns a chair and they pay the salon owner a small rent. So the businesses are quite different, and it's very interesting when you go to an establishment and you learn so much about how the engagement look like. Some also they're on salary, and also they get a commission for every service. Yeah. So it's a very interesting dynamic, and all these things we're trying to put in the application as well for businesses, just to see how they can manage that. They manage the commission, they manage the salaries. It's good.
I mean, I always rely. I rely on a lot of times with our product people and marketing and the sales staff to really help to understand the day-to-day journey of what that customer looks like. Because sometimes I find there's a disconnect. My life is working in tech is very different than the day-to-day business owner who's like said has like bad phone or has
no power.
No power. Maybe literacy might be slightly lower. Not. I mean, I know my parents. They, my dad can't even use Facebook or use anything. It's just like even impossible to explain to him. Every time I go home, I'm fixing the routers, or I'm fixing the TV. It's
they don't know how, if the remote goes off, they don't know how to use the TV and other things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they get so frustrated, and you just have to turn the TV on and back off again. The typical technical support. Turn it on and off again for the app, but. That's typically what you have to do a lot with the customer support and managing these people.
Yeah, it's quite interesting that even the way you say it, even accessibility of devices is something else. Yeah. Apart from that, we are building solutions for Africa. Also, we have to acknowledge accessibility of devices is quite not where it should be in the continent. Yes. It's getting there, but then you find maybe someone who has a salon, and maybe they don't have a smartphone, but they need to keep a record. So it's a bit it's a very hard conversation. But
yeah, exactly. I was working for a company here called 1 Acre Fund that deals a lot with the smallhold farmers.
Yeah.
So in the rural areas, we had decided mainly to do a lot of the communication with the farmers using the USSD on the phone, because they don't have the smartphone, so they could check the balance of their loans or do different transactions through the USSD. But the one thing that we were consistently being told, and I think is still true, is that smartphone adoption will continually exponentially increase, I guess. It's going to get better and better and better every year. So ideally, a lot of those problems will kind of resolve over time. I think we're still some ways away, though.
Yeah. I think the penetration also of internet and also those things also matter in terms of how this, and also affordability of devices is something else.
Yeah.
And affordability of the internet is another thing. So I think relatively the usage has gone up.
I'm excited. We have the Starlink internet now. I haven't tried it, but I don't know if it's good or bad. But different options are good. Sometimes the telecom monopoly sometimes can charge the high prices, and then you have
poor services.
When I'm deciding on like setting up an office, which internet service provider are we going to use? I tend to tell the team, well, they're all going to be bad. They're all going to have outages and not work so well. So you have to just pick one. Usually the low, the cheapest, and then you have to just live with the power outages and all these things. But it's improved a lot since at least when I first came to Kenya, it was so surprising to me because the U.S. has had good internet for a long time, since the 90s, I would say. And then when I first came to Kenya, my wife and I were trying to watch a movie, and we would watch like 10 seconds of the movie, and then it would buffer, and then we'd watch another 10 seconds. We had these things where it took us like 4 hours to watch an hour and a half movie because it was just the internet was so slow. Now it's very seamless. Everything is, the last 10 years, I would say it's really improved a lot.
Yeah, it also stems to policies around also internet use and also what governments are looking in terms of internal policies and political alignment. I think during Kibaki's time, we had like a very exponential growth in terms of infrastructure, both roads, both internet. I think the gradual change and growth started there.
Yeah.
It has improved a lot. I think competition is also making it better.
Yeah, but that's what I noticed even because once the Starlink came out, then my provider, they came and they told me I was getting double my internet speed for free. They didn't even ask me to sign anything. They're doubling your internet speed, probably because they didn't want me to go to any place else. So, but that's a good incentive because now it's harder to switch providers when you have a bigger package that you can deal with.
And then also you have to look at the acquisition cost. If you need to switch also the other things, you also don't know how reliable they are. So
exactly.
At least now you've been grounded by you. But it's very interesting that they have to give you good services just
exactly.
Because someone else has come to the market.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, it's kind of sad in a way, right? Because it takes that competition. They, a lot of these companies, they, and I won't name any companies particularly, but they do like a bad job. The internet goes out, you call them. Oh, we have the fiber's been cut. The system's down, and then they still make you pay for all the full month, even if you're down for 2 or 3 days. You're still gonna have to pay. That they don't give you any kind of
there's no
promotion code or anything. There's no compensation for them having you down. And then when you have a business, I know even outside the internet, I had terrible problems with Kenya Power. Like I mean, we all know that the power situation that we have, but. There was days when, I'm running a tech business and a lot of working from home, kind of managing the team. And so I need to be up all the time. And then, there's just times when power outages for, 6 days out of a month maybe or something, and no response, nothing. And so, and all these companies, they don't have any incentive because they're the monopoly. There's no competition to Kenya Power. There's no.
I think we should go off grid. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, that's sort of what I had to do for my power. Is first I had generators, and then the fundis, break the generators, and then you have to have a different solution. So so solar is going to be a big one, I think. As the price continues to go down, maybe to help that issue.
They're bringing so very many interesting solar solutions. I saw even there's roofs for solar. I don't know, you just install the roof, it comes with the solar. I'm like, okay, this is interesting.
Yeah, exactly. I think they just have to get the price down, and of course in the rural areas, right? You have the little solar lanterns. There's different products that do a small part of the solar, but to manage the internet connection or big electric cookers, things like that, fridges. Like it's going to have to come a long way to
We need to get like solutions that can be backup. But I think we, compared to other African countries, we are a bit better off.
Very advanced. Have you traveled much in the East Africa region, or have you mainly just stayed in Kenya?
No, I've traveled. I've worked a bit in Tanzania and Uganda.
Yeah.
And so, okay, we all have almost similar problems. Yeah, but I think the way the East African community is centered, they're very aggressive in terms of economic infrastructure. Yeah, but in terms of internet penetration, that's something that I notice is a bit lacking in every country.
Every country, yeah. It's a challenge. Yeah, I mean, I've traveled to some of those areas. Northern Uganda, for instance, it's pretty not much happening up there. It's not as developed, I would guess, in terms of infrastructure, internet. There's a lot of places in East Africa that are behind. So luckily, Nairobi's, I don't know, I tend to call it the Silicon Valley of East Africa, but I guess it's
controversial.
It's controversial, yes.
We're a bit, I think, why it's called that, I think we're a bit more receptive in terms of adoption.
Yes.
We adopt very fast, our culture, we adopt very fast in terms of technology. A lot of companies also are here that international companies, tech international companies. So maybe if we are talking about that, then it makes sense. But I think maybe we should look for something a bit more original, not the Silicon Valley of East Africa. Maybe something original,
Yeah, exactly, Yeah, that's why we calling the podcast the Nairobi Gold Rush. People are really coming to make money here, and people are really trying to do their best to...
Maybe they can capitalize on the Konza city, and we see if we stop calling ourselves Silicon Valley. Yes. Call ourselves Konza.
Exactly. It's the situation in the U.S. has become so crazy. Things are just always. I think tech will really. It's always in fluctuation, really struggling because of all the. There's just all kinds of movement happening there that a lot of big companies do that. Yeah, very unstable. Yeah, it's just. And I don't really know what necessarily causes it. I think there's a lot of competition from China, a lot of competition across the world, and which is good in a way, right? I mean, it's like there's, even here in Nairobi, so much technology is coming. Mobile money payment is more advanced than. In the U.S., I feel like you can pay. I don't feel like I can go to the U.S. and pay as easily from my phone for things like you still using the old card or things like that. And so I think Nairobi's poised to be a leader in technology for sure.
For me, you know what I normally say? I think technology is an equalizer. We might not have resources and everything, but also you've seen how how the China AI solution has come.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I think some time back I just sat down and thought about how tech can really be an equalizer to the world. So it gives us access to business. So if I am able to sell something online, so meaning even if I don't have a big shop, at least I can sell similar to someone who has a shop in town. So if you look at it also in terms of geopolitical dynamics, it's shifting a lot.
Yeah.
It's shifting a lot, and it's making it a bit more of an equilibrium. So there is, of course, there are countries that are a bit more equipped in terms of manufacturing, of equipment and products. But if you look at the side of solutions, services, economics, and politics, it's defining so much. And the way you said, the threat is there, and it's more about the technology. It's not even about the political. The technology is defining how the political landscape will look like.
Well, sure, because I look at the product like what you're trying to develop. I've worked a lot with these, they call them ERP systems, these enterprise resource planning, there's SAP or Microsoft Dynamics. And they have these huge companies that sell these solutions to big corporations, manufacturing, and they're essentially similar things to what you're trying to do, right? It's financial transactions, revenue, accounting,
process management.
Yeah, it's these things, and it costs billions to implement these type of systems. I've implemented several of these things. There's definitely several $1 million to set up an SAP for a company because there's so many consultants you have to have. And really, a lot of the technology is very old, is why it's so expensive. They're doing the client server. You have to go install disks somewhere on a server, at a physical location. Maybe it's becoming more advanced over time, but it's because of that old technology that it's built upon, and they're so bureaucratic now that there's all the policies in big companies.
Yeah, they can't let go of that.
So if you come in with 10 software developers, let's say, now you can agilely move because you have the agile process now. You don't have the legacy baggage that you have for those things. There's a lot of money to be made. So I think...
And the development is quite fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you look the way you're saying, if I'm to develop an ERP like what Microsoft has or other big companies have, I'll use like 20 years to get where they are. But if you are lean, because I also believe in being lean in terms of development. Also, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You don't need to develop things that have already been developed.
Yes. Yeah.
So there is a lot of things that bureaucracy and big companies incur a lot of costs just because it has to go through so many people. But startups have advantages that maybe the shareholders are a bit fewer, the team is a bit lean, and so cascading information and deciding is very fast. So I would develop, maybe for me, I would develop a product quite fast and take it to market very fast compared to big organization.
Well, if you were to ask these investors you're looking at, if you were to tell the investors, what's special about your company? How can you take them to that level to get them this huge return on their money? What would you say the one thing that you have about your company that would really take you to that level?
So I think one of the things that we as a company are focused on is bringing solutions to our business owners, and specifically focused in the African market. So in terms of the market viability that we can serve as our product is very big in Africa. We are talking about around $200 million per year in terms of revenue. So if we focus on building this solution and making it that competitive and that desirable to this market niche, then it makes even easier for our investors to get back their money, and also for them to have invested in a good company, a company that is also run by young people, a company that is run by a woman, someone who has also worked in the tech ecosystem, understands how tech works and tech business works, and someone who is ready to do the work and put in the hours and try to build this company. So
I think that tech background that you have is very important for building a tech company. That's what I always, because I know like the people I work with at my company, that says for my role as the CTO, it's, I can almost say anything, and they would have to believe me if they don't know the technology behind it. So, this is going to take 6 months to do. This one's going to take two weeks to do. I can say whatever, and they'd have to believe me because they don't know, because without the tech background. But when you have that tech background, and the developer comes to you and it tries to make up some new terminology or something, just because they don't want to do something, you can understand and like, no, we can do it this fast or this way because you have the background. Okay, well that sounds really good. Yeah. Well, is there just kind of for inspiration for maybe younger people out there that are interested in doing something like you're doing, going out and starting their own company, what kind of words of advice would you give to them in terms of how would you go about this journey? Like I
have to say, like, the first thing you have to do is evaluate, because all of us, we have things that we want to do. We have our dreams, you have our passions. You have to evaluate if your passion, your dream, and what you want to build will actually bring up a solution that people want. So are you passionate about something? Do you like coding, for instance, or designing? Do you like designing? Okay, whatever I can design, or the skill I can use, which is designing, can it bring a product that people will desire to buy? So that's one thing that you need to evaluate. Okay, we can all have dreams and everything, but then is it something you can sell? Another thing which is very important is to get mentors, people that are in business or in something that you're interested in. If maybe someone who is a very good manager and you feel like you need to grow your managerial skills, do you need to get some training? So look at people that have done it before and learn from them, because it's good for you to learn from someone that has already experienced rather than have to work for 10 years to learn that one thing that maybe this person, if you engage with them and they give you insight in terms of how you're going to run the business, decision making, it will cut down the learning period. So if you had to learn it in 20 years, you have maybe learned it in a couple of months, or you have someone who you can quickly have a chat with. Business, for real business, sometimes you have to make very big and tough decisions in terms of revenue, where you headed. So you need someone that can challenge you. Also have a team that is very accommodative around you, and they can challenge you, like, okay, maybe you want to build something inside the application, and they're like, no, this one is not going to make sense. So you need people around you who are either better than you, or you are the same level playing, that you can think together, or they can make you think better.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds good. I think that's about all the questions I have for you. I don't know if there's anything else you'd like to cover, or any questions for me you'd like to discuss.
No, I just think maybe I left out something about Mentalist. I think we had a conversation about it.
Yes.
A very interesting solution where software developers, designers, people in the STEM can actually get mentorship and everything.
How do you do that? Is it an online platform or in person?
It's an online platform. Yeah. Everything is scheduled, and you get to meet your mentors. We also have live classes. At times the mentors have, maybe you're in React and there's some specific question that has been asked a lot, maybe how to link this and things. Yeah. So you have a team that does that as well. Very nice. I think young people that are just coming out of college is a very good place where you can get mentorship in the tech ecosystem.
Yes, because tech is one of those things right now where there's so many different things to learn. Yeah. You have the DevOps, you have the web development, you have Android, you have iOS, you have the machine learning, you have data science, you have all these different things. It's hard AI. For people to AI now. so much in it. That's one thing I've learned as a CTO is I have to learn about everything. And sometimes it's hard to become a master at one thing. Then you're looking, though you have a tech background, you're the CEO. Now you have to focus on fundraising and business and sales and marketing. It's more. That's the thing I think for young people to learn is that the higher you go up in the company, the more. It's almost a little bit. It was a lot more stressful, I guess, because when you're just coding, you're just worried about fixing your bug or your problem. And
and there's no talking to a lot of customers when you're coding.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a very different challenges when you go up, because you experience different things and responsibilities actually change.
Yes.
So it's quite interesting just to learn also new things.
Yeah. So for your platform, you are mentoring like specific topics, I guess. Like you said, if somebody's wanting, I need some help with React or something, then you can pair them with a mentor to help with that. Is that how it works? Yeah.
Also, we have the algorithm can actually, if you say you're interested in software developer, React, JS, you're interested in Python, so they will filter the mentors to what you want, and you just get someone who has experience, who is more experienced than you to guide you. And also we have like those featured topics that they like open group sessions that they normally train as well.
Yeah, no, I think that's very good. I think, getting young talent to be so advanced, I think that's one of the ways, like you're mentioning, it's the technology that really is driving the economy. That's, keeping Nairobi up with the rest of the world. I think the more knowledge that these young people can get and the more skills that can be developed. And the good thing is that everything is global now. You can get on YouTube, you can get on any platform, you can get information, and then with a good mentor who can help you digest it and know exactly how to take it, it can really accelerate the learning process and then build very advanced applications now here. Yeah, that's good. And how long have you been doing that program for? Has it been around for a little while?
It's been around from 2023,
okay.
Yeah, so it's been around. So we started off like more of a traditional way, where we had Discord channel, and we had people just joining and getting mentored and someone answering questions, but we saw it wasn't really systematic. Because Discord, it's just a channel and everyone speaks there. But then that's why we saw the need of putting it in a more aligned way and moderated way, and you can track maybe this person, you can look for this specific person, this specific skill. And then you can participate in the groups. So it's quite, it just stems to the need for mentorship in the tech ecosystem in Kenya as well. So it's just a small solution for us. And
it would be very nice. I wish I had that when I was starting out my career. When I was starting out, we had, when I first started out, we used to read these books of, program. To program, you'd have to get a book and read through the book. There's no video tutorials. There's very few people that even understood
biscuits and stuff.
You have to. It was so difficult to find information, and they didn't have the AI. You didn't have the coding tools that could correct your code for you. So you just would get stuck, and you would get stuck. You
I just imagine the debugging and.
It was terrible. You would spend
and compiling.
Exactly. I remember I was doing a large project. I was a project manager for a project at NASA, the space agency. And back in those days, we had to replace some servers. We were in a server room, and it was where they have these missiles that have these warheads targeted towards like Russia and different places. So we couldn't just go inside the room to replace the servers. We had to have a military high-up person that was watching us all the time. And I had written a 500-step project plan where I would, call out to each of my staff that was there. Rachel, insert this disk. So this is a long time ago, but run. Bob, run this command, do this. 500 lines of steps, because we were only allowed for like 4 hours, let's say, to do the installation of the servers. So anyways, we go into the room and I start calling out all the steps to do for people. And we removed the first rack of servers, and there was 5 servers, and we needed to put 6 servers. Well, in the wall sockets, they only had 5 wall sockets. We didn't have the 6th one. So I told the military guy, like, hey, can you, can we install one there? No, we can't do that because,
it's only
it's not allowed. It'll take 3 months to do that.
Clearance. You need clearance.
You need clearance and this and that. So the project was a complete failure. So those are the type of challenges that we had where, you would have those type of things that would happen. So now things are much easier. Now you can, you have ChatGPT. You just type in something and it generates. So, Okay. Well, I don't think I have any other questions, but it's great having you on our show, Rachel. And again, tell us your company is Pamba.
Pamba, yes. Yeah. Pamba.Africa is a URL.
Okay, and so everybody can go there and download the app, I guess, maybe free trial.
Yes. You get a free trial. It's on the web page. You can also access very quickly. You also need to download. You can just log in. Sign up and log in and start using it.
Get your salons on the app. get it started, and then they can contact you when they're ready to start using the service. So that hopefully, and then hopefully the investors that are out there can see that we've got a great product here in Nairobi that definitely could use some collaboration, assistance to grow to the next level, because it looks like a really big business opportunity. So again, thank you for joining us, and good luck on the endeavor, and we'll be keeping up with how the success of the company.
Thank you so much for having me, Scott.
Okay,
it was a pleasure. The conversation was great.
Yes, very, very good to finally get to talk to you. So.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.